Hey, Fredo, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Good. Great. Um, so I just asked everybody what it would be like to live in a city of actual angels. Any ideas?
Um, I don't know. I kind of agree with the boring stuff, like too many angels.
There's that, what is it, Little Nas X video
Hmm.
where he's one part of it's in heaven and one part of it's in hell. And you can tell that he's pretty bored when he's in heaven. It looks pretty uptight, but we don't
Yeah.
know. We don't know for sure. Anyway, I try to keep it open, let people. Someone said like a too sweet wedding cake. Okay, we've got a lot of rebels in here. So anyway, and I think part of the theme was informed by your interest in, I think it was a Teen Angel magazine.
Yeah.
Do you want
Yeah, I
to, could you
figured
tell me a
since
little bit about it?
it's a magazine. I'll show you the cover of one. I have a few
Okay.
here. So that's it
Oh,
right
great.
there. And it's also like photos that people would send in.
Uh-huh.
Kind of just like so it's drawings that are submitted by like inmates.
Uh-huh.
And it's a very like Chicano style, like I guess like way of drawing. Um, and they would like let you sort of like write your own stuff down.
Oh,
So they,
nice.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
it was pretty cool stuff. And then people would also send in like pictures and like poems and like letters to people that they loved that were like locked up. Um, Let me show you the other one. So it was kind of like sort of like an early like social media sort of,
Yeah. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah.
Definitely early social media.
Yeah, and it was cool. I mean, it was this was also like frowned upon at school, so you would get these confiscated if you
Really?
took them to school. Yeah, because people. I mean, there's definitely gang culture in it, um, but it's more in line with just like how they like. My buddy was just talking about like criminalized aesthetics, and that was like sort of what his thesis was revolved around, and
Uh-huh.
sort of like how cars or like lowriders are like criminalized. So like this style of drawing was like criminalized.
Right.
So people got in trouble for taking them to school. Um, but I was interested in it with like the doodle stuff because this was like the first I guess like the first art I was exposed to.
Yeah.
Because my brother bought these. These are actually my brother's magazines. Um, and he would just like leave them around, and I would like sort of trace over them or sort of try to like mimic the drawings. And so early on, that was how my hand started moving. Was like
Ah,
trying to
interesting.
mimic all this stuff. And I
Yeah.
remember these so clearly because I must have gone through like every page trying to like just sketch a little bit out of all of them.
Yeah.
Some were a lot more challenging. But it was cool. I never really read the poems in there, which is interesting. I would just like skip to the pictures.
Yeah,
Um,
that's like what you were interested in, right?
yeah, yeah, and just like the style.
That's
So
great.
yeah, yeah. That's why I kind of wanted to do a little show and tell. Kind of.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, these are pretty rare now too, especially this size. It's kind of
You know, it reminds me a lot of tattoo art too. It's the
yeah,
same kind
definitely.
of you starting with, I mean, the older style is starting with just black and then
Yeah,
it gets filled in. And so
yeah,
to me, it has that kind of quality as well.
yeah. They're like
Yeah.
tattoo books too. I mean, people got these tatted on their bodies.
Yeah, yeah, it's kind of a suggestion for it too, and
Yeah,
easy to do with a marker too. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that is very. Now it's not doodling, but
No,
it's kind of like
yeah,
it's accessible. That's what I'm kind of excited about with doodling is that we all can do it. We can make a mark, and we can make any kind of mark we want, and
hmm,
whether it adds up to look like something or not doesn't really matter. So, hey, with that said, let's turn our cameras and
yeah,
get started.
yeah,
And
for
folks
sure.
who are just joining us, this is a 30-minute live show, and you're welcome to join us as we get our cameras ready. And then hopefully I will not shut it off.
I'm gonna start with this cool little thing.
What's that?
I'm going to
Oh,
start
look
with
at
this
that.
cool little. Yeah,
Ah, you're into the
we'll see what
Sharpie.
happens.
That's so interesting. The last guest I had got really into Sharpies too.
Yeah, I find that it's like a quick way to just like start making marks for me, you know?
Yeah. I am a fan of the ballpoint pen because it's super slippery. And I like the slipperiness because it keeps me going fast. But
Yeah,
everyone's got their own techniques. I try to outsmart myself by moving as fast as I can because otherwise I think too much about stuff, you know.
right. Yeah, these are
Thanks for
pretty cool
sure.
sessions.
Thanks for sharing that magazine. It's funny how high school's been coming up lately, maybe in terms of the show. But I think that
Mm,
also, yeah, a lot of times doodling may have first happened in when you were bored in class, you know.
yeah,
An interesting thing that you also said too, because in some ways, you know, school is for indoctrination. And so of course they don't want to have cultural expression in there that doesn't fit with what they're trying to do, right?
yep, exactly.
Like they've got a goal to produce a particular kind of student, and that was against their goal. I'm trying to think about things that happened when I was in high school. Well, my friends and I wrote our own little newspaper, and uh, and we were allowed to hand it out. But then a friend of mine wrote something about suicide, and then we were told that we could no longer hand it out. He got,
Oh, damn.
yeah, he couldn't graduate. They suspended him graduating. But, you know, it was, yeah, high schools are weird places, little microcosms.
Yeah, I don't really miss it, but it was all right.
What
It
high
was
school
pretty
did
good.
you go? What high school did you go to?
It's called Manual Arts. It's in South Central.
Uh-huh. I used to
Um,
work at Belmont.
oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, that's dope. Yeah, I had a lot of
yeah,
friends that went to Belmont.
yeah. I used to teach there.
Oh,
Yeah,
what did you teach?
I taught art. I was like a guest teacher through the museums. So we
Oh,
would
that's
come
dope.
in and we do like a 6 week or 8 week art class, do some kind of project, you know.
That's
And
cool.
yeah, I tended to get like a lot of goth girls. That was fun.
What years did you teach there?
Oh my God, so long ago. Probably the 90s. Yeah.
Oh, man, that's dope. That must have been crazy too. 90s were crazy for high schools in LA.
Yeah, yeah. At that time, yeah, I'm trying to remember. I mean, goth never goes out of style, but maybe
Yeah.
that's just me. But yeah, I'm trying to think. You know, I think they were at that time. Belmont was um, building a new high school that they were going to move the kids to probably later in the 90s maybe. But the high school they built, they discovered was on a toxic dump,
Hmm.
and so it held
Oh,
up.
yeah, that's right.
It
I
held up
remember that.
stuff. Yeah, and I was just like, you know, of course they probably got it cheap, you know.
Hmm.
But
Yeah, I remember that. Oh, man, completely forgot about that.
right.
So long ago.
Yes, yeah. So what I'm just curious too because I know you're a big fan of LA. And what is it about LA that you like?
I mean, it's home, but I
Yeah.
mean, there's the food's amazing. I think I've been to a lot of cities in the last few years, just
Uh-huh.
driving across the country,
Uh-huh.
and I don't think anything really like can do what LA does as far as food.
Yeah.
Because you could do like you could have like Mexican food and like uh, I don't know, like Egyptian food or fucking
Right.
anything really, and you could go to the beach and see the snow on the same day. Um,
That's right. That's right.
and
I
then you could
forget
end up
about
in the
that.
desert. Yeah.
Yeah, we used to go to Big Bear when I was a kid. we'd go up to Big Bear, and sometimes there was another place, a lake. I'm trying to remember now, but up in the San Bernardino mountains, I think. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't know. I mean, the culture. I mean, Chicano culture is like super present and alive here. You could see like all sorts of just like dope events, cool
right,
vehicles, dope lowriders, good
right,
shows, good music, nice venues.
yeah.
You could pull up the parking is amazing. I think you could just like like donut shops have their own parking lots.
You know, one thing about LA that I didn't realize was a West Coast thing, and maybe I'm wrong here. So people in the comment section, Arrowhead, Lake Arrowhead. Um, some people in the comment section can let me know, but with strip malls, you know, once you kind of get out of um, kind of the West, you don't have the strip mall kind of culture,
Right.
right? And I used to work in and it was always outside, but I worked in a mall, the Del Amo Fashion Square, if you know about that place.
Yeah.
I used to work there and breathe that air conditioning. Uh, I don't know if the air was ever cycled through, um, but yeah. What were some of the jobs you had when you were growing up in LA? I'm just curious.
Oh man, the longest job I had was at a discount store,
Uh-huh.
and it was right next door to where I lived. So it was the same um, property owner.
Oh, wow. Huh.
Yeah, and then I just kind of asked him for work, and he gave me a job doing like like stock boy, and then like running the register and doing all sorts of stuff in the shop.
Uh-huh.
Mm. So I did that for like 5 or 6 years. It was a long time. It was like way too long.
Yeah.
Um,
Why was it too long?
I guess I was trying to decide like what to do,
Yeah.
and maybe it was just like the right amount of time. I don't know. But it was just exhausting towards the end because I was in a pretty busy street, and there was like so much, just a lot of stuff went down.
Yeah.
Um, and so it was a bit stressful sometimes where I would have to like deal with like not just like angry customers, but just like mentally ill people,
Mm.
or we got like robbed once, which was also
Oh,
stressful.
God.
Um, yeah, I know it was like exhausting. It didn't pay well. It was just yeah, it wasn't a good job. But I also did like carpet cleaning for a bit with my brother. Um, yeah, I'm
I
trying to.
That's interesting. I
Yeah.
was a delivery boy for a while.
Oh,
I was a really it's amazing because I was kind of spaced out. I'm
yeah.
amazed when I think about it that I actually got to people's houses, made the delivery, and actually got back. You know, sometimes like when I reflect back at what I was like when when I was younger, like I must have been responsible enough to hold it together for that job. I didn't stay very long. I worked in the freezer, you know. I
Yeah.
worked in the freezer, like putting milk in, and then I also did the deliveries and delivered kegs and people's orders, liquor orders,
Oh,
and
cool.
I met a lot of alcoholics, which was interesting.
Yeah.
A lot of people would get things delivered, like boxes of like, hard liquor just delivered to their door. And
Oh
I would,
shit.
you know, and I would come in and they'd want me to sit down and drink with them. Like this older lady wanted me to watch like an old musical with her. And she wanted me to like drink and watch the musical with her. And I had to go
Hmm.
like, like I'm working, I can't do it. And, since I grew up at the beach, there was a lot of like keg parties. So I'd have to deliver to like these parties where people wanted me to, like once I set up the keg, they wanted me to hang out,
Yeah.
you know, the they would like send girls over to me to try to convince me to stay, and that didn't really work.
No, that's
But
yeah.
at the time, I wasn't sure what was going on, but I knew it didn't work. So, but in the long run, yeah, those jobs are jobs that are really not meant to be in for very long. I get it.
Yeah. Yeah, but it was all right. I mean, it helped me pay for community college.
Right.
So that was what I took away from it, and helped me just keep going to school. Like I guess that what it did for me was like make me decide that I really did want to just like finish school.
Make you decide that you wanted to finish it. Yeah.
Yeah, I was like,
Yeah.
because I was sort of unsure of the whole thing, and I guess I just needed to work like a really shitty job for a while to you know just figure things out for myself.
And that's something that kind of I've been thinking about. You know, maybe working shitty jobs is better than having a career where you don't really where you end up burning yourself out,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
because you love it too much. Like maybe just working now and then, um, to pay the bills and then save when you can, as
hmm
opposed to like get more and more stuff and try to hold on to this stuff.
right,
Um, I don't know does that make sense?
yeah,
Yeah. I mean, I'm not putting it down because I did it,
yeah,
I mean, I did it for a long time, but there's also something to be said with like who's truly benefiting in a work relationship like that,
hmm
you know. And you do like some of the stuff that projects you've been working on are more like community based, right?
yeah, community and through the collective that I'm with.
Uh-huh.
Um, but also yeah, I've done some stuff with like community programs in LA in the past, and it's kind of a nice way to um just like meet the community.
Right.
But that I guess like working that shitty job also like was a good way to meet my neighbors.
Yeah.
Because it was mostly like neighborhood people that would go through.
Uh-huh.
Um, and so I got to know a lot of people. I got to see like kids go from like 5 years old to like 11 years old and going off to like different schools and whatnot.
And that makes sense to me because I kind of like to have a reason to meet people. Like it's sometimes hard for me to just meet people to meet people.
Yeah.
Sometimes I like to have like something to do. Sometimes like if I'm at a party, I'd rather be doing something like helping out or I don't know how to explain it. Like making something happen as opposed to just like, and that's my way of meeting people. I mean, that's kind of why I do this is it gives me a chance to call people up and say, hey, let's hang out. And it's kind of like I know it sounds really uptight, but it's like a little bit more of a structured thing that makes me feel a little less anxious, if that makes sense. Oh boy,
Mm.
I'm telling you all about myself, aren't I? So,
I used to doodle or like make little drawings for to leave notes for my parents because they would go to work like at 2 in the morning or something, and I forgot to ask them for like money for the bus.
oh
I would
yeah,
just like draw like a little bus and go like this or something, and then
uh
there's a little window or something and a little door,
huh.
and then just like me like standing there and this thing just like leaving me behind, with
Oh, just in case, just in case you don't know
yeah.
what will happen if you don't give me money. Oh my God,
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah.
Do they
They
feel
always got a
guilty?
kick out of it. No, they
Oh, they
always got
got a
a kick
kick
out
out.
of it. Yeah,
They thought
because
it
they
was
were like,
funny.
oh shit, like yeah, and they would
That's
just like leave
funny.
me some bus money.
Yeah, my dad used to make these intricate doodles on my lunch, like when I was a kid, on my lunch bag. You know, um,
Yeah.
and people were always like, who drew all over your lunch bag? And I'd say, my dad did it, and they'd be like, they got jealous. They get jealous. But when I think about it, it was pretty great, and it makes me realize too, he must have, or he's a fast drawer, because not a lot of time in the morning to get things together.
Right. Gotta work quick.
Right. So you're like, are you growing plants? Is what I'm hearing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I started gardening last year at home because there's nothing to do, right? And I started to it started because I wanted to like clean out like the side of the house
Uh-huh.
because it was just like a bunch of junk. And and then I was like, oh, I could just start growing stuff. And so I started to like follow a bunch of like gardening accounts.
Oh yeah.
Um, and then like I was just like learning how to like garden through like YouTube or just like Instagram. Um, and then I put a couple of raised beds on the side of the house and
Uh-huh.
just started experimenting. So I was like trying out what like how things grow or like what would grow.
Uh-huh.
And now I've been doing it for like a year and it's worked out. Like um, I have a lot of tomato plants right now. I have like maybe like way too many for the space. So I'm
Right.
trying to like fit as much as I can in this like in the backyard, like next to like 3 cars or something. Um, but it's worked out pretty cool. I mean, got a lot of peppers, tomatoes, eggplants. I'm growing some okra right now, some
Oh wow.
cantaloupe. I just started squash, a bunch of beans. Um, I did a lot of greens for like the cool period, like spring, I guess.
Yeah.
But now that it's getting hot, it's a little difficult to do like lettuce and stuff like that.
It's
Um,
like,
but
it's more like tomatoes weather, right? Don't they like it
yeah,
hot?
tomatoes
Yeah.
and peppers and all your like hot living stuff.
That's interesting.
But it's
It's
yeah,
what ends up happening too is you start to go, once you've tasted produce like that you've grown, you start to realize like what you've been eating, you know?
yeah, yeah,
Like I remember the first time I actually had like a homegrown tomato, I was you could just bite into it like an apple. Like you could just eat it like that. And to
yeah,
me, I never would think to do that. That it was good enough, or I didn't like, I guess I didn't like tomatoes basically, but yeah. So that's interesting.
yeah. I know. I kind of don't like ordering tomatoes in like burgers and stuff when I'm out
Mm-hmm.
because they're always just so bland. Just like
Yeah.
a slice of like wet
Yeah.
something wet in your burger. But now that I'm growing it, I'm like, oh man, this is just eating more tomatoes than I think I've ever eaten. Just a bunch of cherry tomatoes. Like I'll have like just a cup full of cherry tomatoes for as a snack for lunch or something.
Mm. Yeah.
And
That's
it's been cool
nice.
just learning how to grow things. It's pretty calming.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, the thing that's been interesting is because, I'm in the desert, I started to miss the green, because I've been on the East Coast for so long. And I didn't realize that I missed green. So I started getting into houseplants. And I would be like bringing them in. And as soon as I was overwatering them. I was kind of killing them with kindness, I guess, or something.
Yeah.
I didn't really know like that they sometimes I thought, oh, I better water them because it's so hot, but then I tended to overwater them because I was like watering them because I was worrying about them or something. But in the long run, now I'm learning like you kind of have to just pace it um, and also maybe not like let them dry out a little bit.
Yeah, you gotta
You
shock them.
know,
You gotta, like wake them up.
yeah. My new thing is ice cubes. You
Oh
know,
yeah, yeah,
because sometimes you can just put ice cubes and it's like it's its own irrigation system. You know, where
yep.
you're it's just kind of it just drips very slowly in, and I love it too because I'm not really overwatering. It's almost like a pill. You know, it's a
Yeah,
dose. I'm giving them
yeah,
a dose. Yes.
yeah. I think I had to learn how to ignore plants also.
Yeah.
Because I was babying them too much at the beginning, and now I can just ignore them and then come back, and they have a lot of growth.
Yeah, my thing is too, like, because mine ours are indoors. We have some outdoor ones too, but the indoor ones I see more, and so I end up kind of like I feel like they have personalities,
Yeah.
and so I do get a little concerned if they don't seem happy. But then I got to remember, like any personality, they're going to go through their moods, right? So I just have to like be patient with it. Like I keep thinking, oh, it has to always look the same, like a picture, as opposed to
Hmm.
no, it plants change.
Yeah,
Duh. But
yeah,
it's a funny thing to learn so late in life, but it doesn't. I'm not surprised.
yeah.
That's great. So are you growing them in a backyard, on a roof?
In a backyard, and I just actually moved to the front yard. I started putting stuff out front, because I'm not a fan of like a lawn. It just like feel like it just takes too much water, and it just I don't know. I'd rather just like water food, water
Right.
something
So
that's gonna produce something.
so that's on your front in your front yard now.
Yeah, in the
Cool.
front yard, and I mean, it's my family's home, and right now we have quite a bit of stuff around. It's on the side of the house, and it's in the back. I baked like all sorts of trellises for plants.
Oh wow.
So I'm trying to make it look cool, make it look nice.
Yeah, it sounds like a community garden almost.
Yeah, yeah. And we have a mango tree that finally started fruiting last year. And it looks like it's going to produce quite a bit of fruit this year too.
Oh
So I'm
nice.
excited about that. Yeah, my mom started that one from seed like 8, 9 years ago, probably.
So your mom was also grows stuff?
Yeah, she does every now and then. She's not as into it as I am.
Uh-huh.
But she's definitely into it. I think she's more of a fan of like the fruit trees. Um, so
Yeah. Yeah, you know what? I grew up with fruit trees. I think that's a real thing well, I'm assuming it's in the West Coast, but we had
yeah.
all kinds of fruit trees. I have a friend, Laura Stein, and she had an art, she's a photographer, but one of her art projects was that she created molds and then grew like tomatoes into the molds to create,
Mm,
um, and like she had like a Bart Simpson tomato. So the
mm,
tomato grew to look a little like Bart Simpson, you could tell it was Bart Simpson, you know. There's also reminded me there were these artists a while back. I don't really know what's up with them now, but they were called Edible Estates, and they
mhm,
were they were really into getting people in track housing to grow their own gardens in the front, so that and that like if they got convinced someone to grow their own produce in their front yard in track homes, that it might help people more and more start to become sustainable. So
yeah.
it was an interesting project because what it does do is that neighbors look at what neighbors do, right? And
Mhm.
um, they start to go, well, maybe we'll do that. Or they may just look at what you have and go, hey, can I have some? Which I wonder, is that happening yet?
That's happened with sunflowers.
Uh-huh.
I put a bunch of sunflowers in the parkway, like that space on the sidewalk.
Uh-huh.
Um, and then people are just like started gravitating towards it, and like people take photos in front of them or with them,
Mm-hmm.
um, of them, and then some people actually like take some, which sucks sometimes because they just like pull it out,
Oh, okay.
and they kind of like leave a mess, or like they'll just like I don't know, it's weird. And like
What's
I
your
always tend to plant more. So I always have backups.
But what's your feeling about, like, are you kind of into that this is my property, or I worked on this and like don't take it, or you kind of okay with it, or what's the feeling?
I don't know. I mean, at first I was like a bit like sad about it because I was like, oh man, I really wanted to see how it like grew out, you know.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, but it's kind of nice that people like like it so much that they want to take it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Which at this point I'm fine with it. Like I'm just expecting it. Um, so I'm just gonna keep putting more out. And I don't mind if people take like a little cutting or like one or two.
Right.
Um, you know, because it's just gonna keep producing more. Some varieties produce a little more than others. Um, but I think what I'm gonna start doing is probably once they are spent and like fully bloomed and the seeds dry out, I'll just leave some seeds like hanging on the door or something.
So you are basically creating a community garden. Do you know what I mean? You kind of
Yeah,
are, except you're doing all the work.
yeah, yeah,
I hope they say thank you, Fredo.
yeah. Some people they'll come by and just compliment it. It's kind of nice when I'm
That's
out there.
good. That's
Yeah,
good.
and then the more I water, like I'm always like out there like in the afternoons, like at the end of the day. So I am meeting my neighbors that I haven't seen or that I don't know because they're on their same schedule, so they're always walking by at the same time.
Yeah.
Um, so that's been nice, just meeting people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so you're a person who likes people.
Uh, yeah. I mean, to a point, and people are terrible too.
I know. I just, it's
Yeah.
a funny thing that's coming up now with the pandemic, like some people
Yeah.
are like, oh man, I have to kind of actually go back into the world, and they're not excited about it.
Yeah. I mean, I'm somewhat. I'm starting to slowly get back into it.
Yeah. Yeah. Me too. Me too. I go back and forth. I have a little more attitude now, which I shouldn't, but I kind of do, where I'm like, I, I'm not mean to people, but I do think, is this worth my time? Right now, like I
Yeah.
am much more thinking about my time, where
Yep.
before I didn't really do that.
Yep.
Um, I don't think I did, but maybe I have always been like an asshole. I don't know. But yeah, it's an interesting time. I mean, I think people really can decide if it's like you've got this kind of amazing choice. Do you just kind of go back to the way things have always been? Or do you kind of go, oh, I think I'm going to do it different? I don't know. But
Yeah.
I know
I
that's,
hope people still respect like the personal space. I think that was like the best thing about the like the COVID lines was people being a little further away because
yeah.
I can't really remember how close people used to stand
Oh
behind
my
each other
God.
at like a grocery store.
I mean, I was just saying the other day when I lived in New York, I remember people sweating on me during the summer. Like I remember drips
That's
on me,
terrible.
drips on me. There was just no space. People loved
Yeah.
it. People loved it. It was an orgy. I just don't
Yeah.
think orgies are the thing anymore. Well, on that lovely note, I think we're kind of we're our time is done, but I try to keep this to 30 minutes, and
Cool.
it's been great talking with you.
Yeah, for sure.
Let me go ahead and switch up my camera.
I'm finish this
Oh
this
yeah, yeah.
something.
Aha, you're doing the sunflower.
Yeah.
So thanks everybody for joining us as Fredo finishes up his sunflower. You never have to finish anything with Doodle with me. It's all about whatever you want to do. But that said, oh, someone says I grew up in Southern California, Orange, Riverside, LA. Usually always orange groves in my vicinity. Great. Oh, we got lots of people talking here. Great. I love when you all have comments and talk to each other. And thanks again, Fredo, and thanks everybody for joining. Happens every Friday night, 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And have a great weekend, a great Juneteenth,
Thanks, Ryan.
and a great week. So, all right.
Cool.
All right. Well, everyone have a good night. All
Good
right.
night, everyone. Peace.
Bye.